So I'm live, according to not the shade of my screen, but anyhow. Okay, so I'm not gonna try. I'm not gonna try and be funny. Um, I want to start today with reading. I caught a little bit of interest in reading Ezekiel. I had my hair up, so yeah. Um, because I know that. Um, as far as prophecy goes, Ezekiel mentions a potential war between that's going to go down before Armageddon. Um, and with everything happening in Jerusalem now, I'm thinking, okay, so let me pick up the Bible and turn my page to Ezekiel. Actually, I thought I'd read most of the prophetic books in the Old Testament, but I did read Daniel once before. It seems to be the more popular one, just because I think people are like very more curious about um, predicting the date, and because the book of Daniel has like the 70 years, and then how to interpret that, and um, so I think that's probably why I went. I wish I would have actually read Ezekiel a long time ago. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. But I did actually, after Daniel, I did read a little bit of Isaiah. And then I think I just watched like a film on Jeremiah. So that's where I am. But Ezekiel is more like the point of reference for like sort of like the real hardcore end time stuff, like this is like where you go. Like maybe, okay, so I've watched, like there's probably one movie in Hollywood that quotes Ezekiel. But I mean, if even it's like a war movie. So, but after reading a little bit of it, I can, definitely attest to that. So I want to start with Ezekiel 33, verse 17 through 20. Okay, so yet your countrymen say, the way of the Lord is not fair, but it is their way that it is not fair. Let's start over. Yet your countrymen say, the way of the Lord is not fair, but it is their way that is not fair. When a virtuous man turns away from what is right and does wrong, he shall die for it. But when a wicked man turns away from wickedness and does what is right and just, because of this, he shall live. And still you say, the way of the Lord is not fair. I will judge every one of you according to his ways, O house of Israel. So I think that this is the most important verse. And I was also reading a little bit more. I went back to the brothers Karamazov, and I was reading the chapter from that is dedicated to Father Sosima, which is on the homily, and there's a lot that has to be said about that. I think it's just more about just being humble at the end of the day, and that can. I don't know if reducing it to that is being like overly simplistic, but at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. So that's what I wanted to read today because of what's going on. I should also probably pick up this other book, but really what I was wanting to, okay, let's see, what is this? I don't have that. Did I mark it? Yes, I did. I marked it. And actually, I should leave that there because this is going to have more to do with what I actually wanted to talk about. Because actually, I'm so much smarter than other people. Oh my God, look at me. Oh wait, no, it's all the way over here. Sorry. Okay. Okay, so basic. Right. Okay. Maybe I lost my page. I didn't lose. Oh, I just didn't highlight it this morning. Okay. So this is like something about on what I've touched a little bit on before, except I was like super angry. But this is what is written, page 320 of the Brothers Karamazov Talks of and Homilies. There is only one salvation for you. Take yourself up and make yourself responsible for all the sins of men. For indeed it is so, my friend. And the moment you make yourself sincerely responsible for everything and everyone, you will see at once that it is really so, that it is you who are guilty on behalf of all and for all. So that's what we had touched on before. I'll end quote there, sorry. Yeah, so it's not going to really make a difference. I mean, you have to like really like that. Even in the book of John, it's written, you have to persevere until like the very last minute. In the meantime, I mean, like uh, um, gather your strengths and um, grow more like stronger in faith and your convictions of an eternal life, and that this is not the end of life. If there is like a nuclear disaster, which is written, I mean, because like it's written, nobody's saying when it's going to happen. I'm not like trying to scare anybody. I'm not scared. I'm not scared because I'm good with God. That's what I keep telling me. I'm good with God. I don't care about any. I don't. Men are not my lords, and men that try to be my lord, hopefully, if I have to keep teaching them a lesson and discouraging them, I'll just have to keep doing that. I don't know what else to do. I'm not from like a privileged type of background. I'm not married. Like I get it. Walks of life, walks of life. And then actually, this is a really beautiful chapter actually in the Brothers Karamazov. It says to work work tirelessly. If as you are going to sleep at night, you remember, I did not do what I ought to have done. Arise at once and do it. If you are surrounded by spiteful and callous people who do not want to listen to you, fall down before them and ask their forgiveness. For the guilt is yours too, that they do not want to listen to you. And if you cannot speak with the embittered, serve them silently and in humility, never losing hope. And if everyone abandons you and drives you out by force, then when you are left alone, fall down on the earth and kiss it and water it with your tears, and the earth will bring forth fruit from your tears, even though no one has seen or heard you in your solitude. I'm going to stop there because there's a lot more passages that I think are a little bit more um, like this is like an intermediary monk type of I guess a state of mind, and you should definitely be more start like and with things that it just speaks about like not being attached to things and that sort of thing. So anyhow, so now actually, because I was kind of going over this, and I started going through my old I took a philosophy class in college, and this is one of our mandatory or our required books to read. So I read whatever chapters we had to, but either way, I came across a passage that I guess I mean, just this one sentence captures everything I'm trying to say now, but if I have to go back, I will. Well, you know what else? I'll start up at the top. End quote, I dream of seeing our future and seem to see it clearly already. For it will come to pass that even the most corrupt of our rich men will finally be ashamed of his riches before the poor man, and the poor man, seeing his humility, will understand and yield to him in joy, and will respond with kindness to his gracious shame. Believe me, it will finally be so. Things are heading that way. Equality is only in man's spiritual dignity, and only among us will that be understood. End quote. So the part I wanted to highlight here is equality is only in man's spiritual dignity. So I really do feel that the Democrats are basically ruining everybody. They're ruining the country, and they're taking everybody down with them. Like, take no prisoners, like we're all dead. So equality is only in man's spiritual dignity. This is spiritual dignity means that you don't put other people down, you don't take sides, you don't get in the middle of conflict. Conflict can be a sibling rivalry, and you might be thinking that you're being helpful, but you're not. And all you're doing is trying to open the door for people to step in and only create more chaos than there needed to be. Okay, so equality is only in man's spiritual dignity. That's page 316 of the Brothers Karamazov. Yeah, look up Dostoevsky. He was according to my professor at the time, if I recall correctly, a spiritual advisor of the Tsar at the time, whatever that means. He seemed important to me. This book in particular was a sort of it came out like in series, like it was like a I can't remember the term for it. I'm not in editing, or marketing. Okay, so because equality is only in man's spiritual dignity, let's now talk about equality in terms of being rich and capitalism, that sort of thing. This is exactly what I'm trying to say. Like, yes, maybe sometimes things are unfair. That's not important. That's not important. If you read this chapter, it talks a lot more about really what matters and what's important. So I'm going to put this away, and I'm now going to talk about what is important. What is important is something that I picked up in a whole other subject in a class on infants, children, and adolescent psychological development. And I'm just going to read really quickly through all of Erikson's psychological stages for people that don't know who Erikson is. He's one of the most, at least when I studied psychology back in 20 years ago. Hopefully things haven't changed much. I doubt it. Doesn't seem that way, at least. There's really only, there was three, right? Erikson, Piaget, and Freud. But I liked the structure of Erikson's, like, sort of progression between ages. And the reason that I want to bring this up is because I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to use what I know from the education I have and apply it to what minors that we call our posterity or future, the future leaders of the world, right? How it can impact them, with whether this country wants to focus on slavery or on organizing and law and order. So obviously slavery, it was no bueno. I get it. But that was taken care of a long time ago. So people that are in politics now and that want to keep on being regressive that way are only doing it because they're too used to, like, they're like in their comfort zone. They're too used to just like lying through life and um putting up a facade for people to accept them and like them. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's a lie by um what's that word called? um I'll think about it later. Either way, let's go ahead and start with birth to 1 year, basic trust versus mistrust. Well, in this stage of life, babies will trust you because you treat them nicely. You have a friendly face. You have like this expression that they feel that they can trust. It's not like you want to look at them and like, oh, you're too white. You're not the right color for me. I don't know. I don't know. You may have to be the next looter. Yep. I mean, people in leadership that are actually telling these like dumbasses to go out and loot should be the ones in prison. Parents need to go after these politicians that are trying to take their rights from them. If that's the case, I mean, think about this, okay? So let's talk about 1 to 3 years old, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Oh, I don't think that you can do. Nope. Nope, Thomas the engine can't do it. You think you can't. You think you can't. You're not the right color. So they grow up in shame and doubt. Next, looters. For who? For who? You want to talk about that? All right, let's keep going. 3 to 6 years old, initiative versus guilt. Oh, well, shame on you. You're not the right color. You're just not the right color. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. It just goes on and on. You're basically, this is what has been researched, and I don't know of any other research that anybody has presented other than, not, well, I was bring show me the research for this whole equity theory. What's it called? The whole what is this called? Critical race theory. Same thing. Equity, no. We just talked about equity. It's up to everybody what they can give. It's not nobody left behind. Okay, Obama, relax, friend. And it's not race to the top either. What is you don't have to feel guilty that you have that drive and you're motivated enough. It is just, it's everybody's personality that is important here. It's everybody being an individual being. Okay, so stop it with like your whole, oh, like why are you trying to break this mold? I've read your book. I should pass it. I'm gonna donate it, just so other people know a little bit more about the psychology behind the type of person that is trying to just it's not motivating. It's not motivating at all. It's It sets people back further than you think it helps. Industry versus inferiority, identity versus identity diffusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, ego integrity versus despair. You're just breaking like everything that you're doing, that the Obama administration, also known as the Biden administration, is doing, goes against every single positive column of this chart. So you can be either or, right? You can either have basic trust or you can mistrust. Okay, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Everything, like you're so on the wrong side of things when it comes to the psychological development of people. And I also think that for these reasons, that because Biden is basically creating wars all over the place with just being the most insidious. He's so no, I mean, don't get me wrong, he knows what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. And you know why I think that he's doing it? He has things to hide. He has a lot of things to hide. People, believe me. He has things that he wants to detract other people from. Okay? That's all it is. He's trying to get everybody else to think about whatever else is happening in the world so that you don't focus on him. A decoy, is it? Okay, so think about that. Don't get fooled by corruption. When you consider this type of potential evil, I mean, trust me, if this guy had something good to say, it would show. It would show. You don't have to beg people to prove to you that they're nice and honest and good to other people. You know what I mean? Like that has to be something that just kind of like is born out of like a natural course of business. Like, this is what, you know, like, this is my next action, and you can tell exactly what I'm thinking. And that's why people like Trump. Nobody likes Trump because of his locker room talk and his banter and whatever other impulsive insults he made, you know, to be defensive. No, nobody, I mean, nobody likes that, but nobody cares to weigh that as, you know, give that more importance than what his actions and what he was really trying to accomplish was. I get it. Like, he's passionate. He wanted to get things done, and he had to make sure that he wasn't going to get, I guess, you know, derailed by people that are only trying to look for other people's weaknesses, but don't care to look at all the positive things. Well, what did you expect him to do? What do you expect Israel to do now? It's the same thing. It's the same people. It's the devil is definitely ruling this world right now, and I mock him. I mock the devil. I mock Satan. Biden, you're not going to get to me. You're not going to make, whether or not you're willing to use other people. And that alone, like, that is a huge indicator that you're not on the right side. That's just plain and simple, very clear to me. So either way, I think I've made this longer than I wanted to. Okay, so, but that's all I had to say about that. Definitely, he's just enjoying every second of it. He's going to be safe and protected. You know, the Bidens are going to be safe and protected, and so are all his cronies, and, you know, big tech and big pharma, and the rest of us are going to have to suffer when everything gets out of control, as we're already seeing it's happening now. Either way, I'm gonna be me to the very last second, and I don't want to see most of those people in the next life, and I don't think I will. So I'm happy about that. So I can't wait. I'm just like super stoked. But